All right, I guess I got to talk. Oh, look at this. It's picking up well today. That's the same settings, too. Oh, well. So we are back to talking about stated and revealed preference. We're still doing revealed preference. Well, that's too good, right? That's a little too good. Let's see if we can get that down to a little more reasonable. And now I'm going to tell you a story about where these kind of numbers made a difference in a public debate. So quite some time ago, Walt Disney, it's too much for me. Is that better? I'm still here? Okay. Some time ago, Walt Disney wanted to take what's now the very southern part of Sequoia National Park and turn it into a ski area. The name of the area is Mineral King. It got left out of the park to begin with because it had silver in it. And miners did come in and they built a stamp mill, the ruins of which you can see today, and they quickly discovered that it didn't have enough silver in it to be worth their effort. So there are mining ruins, but I don't think any great amount of silver ever got taken out of there. That's why it wasn't in the park to begin with. Disney wanted it for a ski area because it's close to LA. So how many are from LA? So what's the closest really good skiing? Where?
I would say Mountain High.
Yeah, really good skiing. Mammoth. Yeah, Mammoth. Yeah, Big Bear versus Mammoth. Mammoth better, yeah? Okay, you like Mammoth better. How far's Mammoth?
Like 3 hours.
Anyone driven up to Mammoth? 6. Okay. And suppose the weather's bad. 8. So how long to get to Sequoia from LA? You got a sense of that? So how long to get to Bakersfield? And then another hour and a little. So any ideas there? Yeah, so it's probably about an hour closer to Mammoth is my guess. So if somebody built a ski area as good as Mammoth, an hour closer to LA, would they have business? Would they be full every day that you had snow? Yeah, just about. So that's why they wanted it. They wanted it because it was close. They wanted it for some other reasons too, which you'll figure out as we go along. And so what I'm telling you today comes out of a study that John Krutila, who's some of his other stuff you'll read, and Tony Fisher, who's one of my colleagues recently retired, did together a long time ago. And this was at the point where doing transportation cost studies was now still pretty new. And theirs was the most involved one done up to that point. It might be the most involved and most important one done to this point. It's pretty simple. They used miles to measure price, so they didn't even bother by multiplying it by something. Income by county of origin. So how they're going to do this is they're going to go to the existing ski areas, and there are many. They're going to stand there, and as people come in, they're going to find out where they came from. Where did you come from today? Los Angeles, right? So that's how broad they get, where they came from. And then if they know where they came from, they take a guess about income. And then they just calculate the number of ski areas. And so their idea of demand is a function of income. The price of this ski area, basically how far it is from where you came from LA, it's 372 miles or whatever it is to Mammoth. That's your price for Mammoth. Your price for the ski areas up here would be much higher. Price for other areas, and they include them all in 7 areas. So an individual might be observed going from Los Angeles to Mammoth, right? And we know how far that is, and we also know how far it is from Los Angeles to Big Bear, from Los Angeles to Lake Tahoe, and so on and so forth. So that gives us the prices of the other areas. What's being assumed here is that miles are measuring both time and actual transportation costs. That's really what's thrown in there. And I put snow conditions, but they didn't. And as you well know, if you're a skier, an hour closer, if you're a Los Angeles skier, an hour closer versus another foot of powder, it's not much of a choice, is it? You go for the powder, right? Right. Unless you're taking kids about this big, then it doesn't matter. So that's not in there. And the rest of the analysis in terms of running their regressions is much what you think. Right? They have the number of trips from LA to wherever, and that's their number for Los Angeles. And they have a number of trips from Los Angeles to Big Bear, and that's their number. So you have all the different quantities by county of origin. And you have the prices. And you have your computer do what is the equivalent on a graph of simply plotting quantity versus price. That's essentially what they did. What it was done for a cost-benefit analysis. If you love this idea, you'll find an entire chapter in your textbook, and you're welcome to read it. If you don't love the idea, it's not something I want to emphasize terribly. And we could just go with, a project is not bad if the benefits to whomever they accrue are greater than the cost to whomever they accrue. That's the concept of cost-benefit analysis. And what it's blind to is exactly this. If you had a magical process that could steal $20 from a homeless person and give it to Bill Gates, then you have a project that would pass a cost-benefit test. The benefits to whomever they accrue are $21. The costs are $20. 21 is greater than 20. It passes the cost-benefit test. So it's utterly blind to who gets the money. On the other hand, if you take $100 from Bill Gates and give $20 to a homeless person, it fails the cost-benefit test, right? Because it costs more than you benefited. So that's the weakness of it. If you're looking at a project that involves some cross-section of people or people in the middle or something like that, you tend to just close your eyes and say, I'm not really very concerned with what I'm doing to income distribution if I let them build this project in Mineral King versus I don't. It's not really the issue here. The issue is this a good, is this an efficient use of money? Is this going to turn $1 into $2? Is this going to turn $2 into $1? That's what cost-benefit test is about. And here are the numbers. The cost of the new area is calculated at $25 million. And they've taken all the costs that happen over time, and they have discounted them back to the present. And if you remember 7th or 8th grade, they had you do present values, and what's the interest rate? What's the compound interest rate, right? That happened a long time ago. The basic idea is that money in the future is worth less than money today. How much less? Some percentage less per year. And that should have something to do with how much one can earn on money in a bank account or the stock market or something like that. And they calculate out the money at being worth 9% a year, and that's not our major issue here. Our issue is just the $25 million. So you can say the equivalent of the cost overall time are like $25 million. Close enough. For the area itself. Now, the area itself is going to have the skis, logically it should have the grooming of the slopes, the getting of the people onto the slopes, right? The infrastructure to hold them up the hill so they can fall down again, that sort of stuff. What was not Disney's problem is the second thing here, the cost of the road. So the county would have to build a road. What exists today is a 25-mile long road that goes up over a pass. The road is dirt, and it's about 1.5 lanes wide. So if you go up there, you won't find a lot of traffic, but neither will you go very fast. Because you come off the road on the outside, it's hundreds to thousands of feet before you will come to rest. So that is not a road you could use to get to a major ski area. If you think about it, just the beer trucks alone for a ski area that has 10,000 people in it would occupy every inch of that road forever, just going up and going back. Right? So somebody would, to make a ski area work, somebody would have to put a lot of money into a paved, all-weather road, much wider than the current one. And that was estimated to be a $25 million price tag. When they did the analysis and got the demand curve for skiing, they could then find the area under the demand curve. Right? They have a new ski area, and that new ski area goes from having like 0 to 10,000 skiers, and therefore they can find the total willingness to pay for the new area. That's the number they contributed. The number they contributed was on the order of $26 million. So now you can do the cost-benefit analysis pretty easily. 25 plus 25 is 50, which is greater than 25. So the area does not pass a cost-benefit test. And the environmental community used that as one of the arguments against it. The other arguments against it were the obvious. Pristine, high mountain valley. I don't know if we had endangered species at that point up there, or if anyone had found them, but the usual kind of nature is good kind of arguments. The nice thing here is I never had to say nature is good. I get to here, and I can just be as right-wing as I want. I don't have to love nature, I just have to not hate nature. So long as I don't hate nature, I'm against building the ski area because it's a way of turning $50 million into $25 million, and that's not a good economic outcome. The same kind of logic will defeat many water projects and many other projects that you as environmentalists might want to see defeated. And there's the really wonderful part. I wouldn't build it unless I hated nature to at least the tune of $25 million. So that's an actual example. But there's a lot of things about it to think about. The first one is obvious. Who would pay and who would benefit? You can answer that. Who pays for this project? Who pays for the road? If Disney paid for the road, they wouldn't want this, would they? No, because then they'd have to pay $50 million and they don't get back around 25. That's a bad idea. Who pays for roads? Yeah, the state or the county or something. So from Disney's point of view, what are the costs? Yeah, like 25 million, one of the benefits like 26, 27. I think they're a lot more than that. But in the analysis, Disney comes to the good by a couple $1 million, while the public subsidizes Disney to $25 million. So the first questions you should ask about a project after you've come to this rough cost-benefit analysis is, hey, who's benefiting here? Who's doing the costs? The second thing, which I don't think Tony got right, is the beers. I think this project was all about the beers. I don't think this project was ever about skiing at all. So Disney did 2 parks in the United States, Disneyland and Disney World. How many have been to the Florida one? Oh, wow. How many have been to both? Okay, economically, what do you think the difference is between these 2 parks? Imagine you're Disney. Which one of them do you think you're pulling more money out of and why? You've been to both. Okay, so just the thing's bigger. But what else is true about it? When you went to Disney World, who got your money? All of it. Who got your parents' money? Yeah. So Disneyland they built first. Who knew? I mean, it's a classic who knew. They'd seen other things like this Fairyland in Oakland. How many have been to Fairyland? All right. So the ones of you who haven't been to Fairyland, unfortunately, to properly enjoy it, you'll need, about an 8-year-old? 4. So, yeah, so you need a little kid. So you got to borrow a little kid, and then it's a lot of fun. And it's the model for these kind of theme parks. So go get a little kid and go to Fairyland, and you can consider that part of your economics education. So when Disney built this, nobody knew that this thing would be a money machine. There were parks and there were roller coasters and stuff like that before, but never did somebody build something that has many visitors as Disneyland. And so they bought a good-sized hunk of land. But it's in the middle of, well, it's the bottom of L.A., right? Is that where it is? It's out near the refinery, so the land was probably pretty cheap and you shouldn't breathe. And once they got successful, all around them are hotels. The only advantage to the Disney hotel is you can take the monorail into the park. And I think the difference in price is like $120 a night. I mean, times it's off scale. So the next time they did it, they built it in the middle of nowhere. And they bought all of nowhere. And that way, when you go, they capture all the money. That's what the ski area was meant to be. Remember the long road? Well, now, you've been skiing, your muscles are really sore, and you've had that beer, and now you have to drive at night over a 7,000-foot icy path to get to the Indian in Three Rivers, the next nearest bar, where beers will be $2 cheaper. Are you going? Well, at least you're not going to make it both ways. So the whole point of it being this isolated valley was they were going to set it up so that every hamburger, every beer, every shoelace, everything you would have to buy from them. That was the point of the exercise. And in their calculation, I guarantee you, the skiing was about a break-even exercise. But the T-shirts, the hats, the goggles you forgot, the beers, the hotel rooms, and all the rest of that was going to ring up real cash. And that's what's not in we're not in this at all. To be fair, when I tell this to Tony says, yeah, but people are paying for that stuff, and see, they're paying the right amount of money for it. So in Tony's point of view, the market is competitive, and you're buying goggles at the competitive price, and so what's Disney making out of this? Nothing. It's just an ordinary deal. In my view, Disney's got you, and part of your cost to go to this area is they hiked up the prices on everything in it. I think I'm right. I'm sure I'm right on why Disney wanted to do it. If that's correct, then you have to ask, how would that really change the public choice problem? And I think if you had ever gotten Disney's numbers, you'd find that although Disney was getting subsidized $25 million, they planned to make way more than $25 million. So the cost-benefit analysis might come out all right, but it would still be more or less the following. The public pays $25 million for a road, and Disney makes $25 million profit. Or Disney makes $35 million profit. So it passes the cost-benefit test, but it's unclear why you would still want to go out there and say, I'm just a public-spirited economist, and I've looked at this project, and when you look at all the aspects of it, this is a great project. It still seems a strange thing to say. Now, if Disney turned around and said, the road is not a problem, we'll pay for it. Then as an economist, I lose any ability to say anything until I'm willing to talk about the value of Mineral King as a park. Right? Then I'm forced to start saying, and what would this be worth as a park? So that's the story of Mineral King. And it's a good thing to Google because you'll discover there was a lot of ink written about it. Now we move on to another method of valuing goods. And it's called hedonic pricing. The first known example of it is a monograph by Frederick Waugh written in the 1920s. And what Waugh had done is he'd gone to the fresh vegetable market in Boston, and he measured the cucumbers and seen what price they were sold at. So it's a very down-to-earth agricultural economics problem. You want to go back and say to the farmers, look, guys, if you grow cucumbers that are this wide and this long, then you get a lot less money than if you grow them a little more oblong. So that's what he wanted to do. So what he did is he explains the price of cucumbers by their length, width, and color. Again, it's a regression study. You can imagine price on one axis if you had only one of these things, length on another axis, and you look at how price changes with length. Now, obviously, we have 1, 2, 3 dimensions, and so you can't just plot that out, but a computer can do the equivalent of that. Each observation is a batch of cucumbers, and they have a length and a width and a color written down, and a price. He has a lot of observations on these cucumbers, and then he finds the line that best explains price as a function of length, width, and color. We call the things that do the explaining the characteristics of the good, or the attributes of the good. And the general idea is to explain price as a function of attributes. Where it came into its own is house prices. Has anyone ever looked at Zillow or one of these other pricing dealies? Yeah, so what's on Zillow? But it'll estimate the price for each house, right? Yeah, so you said lot size, number of bathrooms. Keep going. What else can you look up? Square footage. So there's something about location that's going to matter too. Age, yeah, because it depends on the code, how much work you have to do. All right, so they get all of these attributes off the assessor's records. You can get them off the assessor's records too. And then they do the same thing. They say, I look at the houses that actually sold. And an arm's length transaction, that's where they're bad, by the way. They don't pull out too many. They don't pull out enough of the transactions that are an arm's length. What's an arm's length transaction? I decide it's time to move. I want to get a house next to my brother in New York. I sell my house to someone I never met before. It's an arm's length transaction. That gets registered, and the price of that transaction is a real price. What's a non-arm's length transaction? My brother and I own a house together, and he decides to sell his half to me. Who knows what price we chose and why? Worse, two spouses trade property, and they do this endlessly in reality. And they sell it to each other. They might sell it to each other for $1. So you want to get that stuff out of your data set. So you should have the arm's length transactions, and then keep it simple, number of square foot in the house. What are you going to do? Oh, look, I got a large data set that has lots of transactions with price and number of square foot. So I just plot it out. Price on one axis, number of square foot on the other. I draw a straight line that fits it. That's my estimation. Well, to do it in 3 or 4 dimensions, you have to get a computer to fit it for you. But that's exactly what you do. Now you have a fit. So now you know if the house is worth, say, on the order of $100,000, you know how much a square foot is worth. Probably about $1. So if you had 2 houses and one was 10 square foot bigger than the other, it would be worth $10 more. Right? Lot size. How much is an extra foot on lot size worth? Less. Number of bathrooms. Probably worth $5,000, $10,000 a bathroom would be my guess. Views. Around here, I think a view used to be worth 20. It's probably worth 30 by now. And so on and so forth. You get the price of all the attributes. You look at a house that hasn't sold, but you do have its attributes from the assessor's record, and you use your equation, and you come up with a price that house should sell for. And that's what you'll find in things like Zillow. That's what they've done. That's also what the assessor does in states other than California. Each year, they look, they see what houses sell for. They go ahead, they run this regression, they find out what square feet and bathrooms and stuff are worth, and then they predict backwards the value of all the houses that didn't sell, and that's their assessment. And that's what you pay taxes on. Right? This is actually an incredibly popular method. It's used all the time. This, which you can find in the text, obviously, is an actual example run by a friend, Nancy Boxall, and her interest was in, where is it, blah, 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 density, percent of area, that's water or wetlands, percent of nearby open space, right? We're starting to have a lot of environmental stuff. Up there you have the obvious lot size square, distance to Baltimore, distance to Annapolis for commuting purposes, distance to Baltimore times distance to Annapolis. I don't know why they did that. It worked, they did it. Percent of land nearby densely developed, low density land nearby, served by public sewer. And here's the interesting one. Inverse of distance to source with water discharge permit. In other words, how close are you to a sewage outfall or a major industrial plant?